Hey Joey, good to see you again. You look like me, man. Like what? Look at you, glasses. Like you look like me, and I like it.
I got to be able to see,
Yeah, that's what I say too. Yeah, same. Joey, congratulations again. Like you are that dude. It's super cool to see. Do you ever get into a race aside from the Cup Series championship? Do you ever get into a race, or is it every race you feel like you're going to win, or are some like if I can just finish because I don't feel good physically, if I can just finish in the top 10? How does that work every race?
Yeah, it's different in our sport because well, as a machine, you have to deal with as well. And no two cars are created the same. And so there's weekends where you feel like you have the best car, and you're like, well, we better go capitalize on this car that we have. And then there's times where like you get done with practice and you're like, gosh, my car is like a 20th place car. If I can finish in the top 10, that would be like a win. It just kind of depends on what you got, but the car is different every week. You try to make the right adjustments to your car to try to make it the best you can, but it's different than other sports because it's just the human element, right? The basketball is the same every week. The court's really not that much different from week to week, but our racetracks are completely different. When you go from half mile tracks to mile and a half tracks, road courses, everything in between, it's different every week.
I've had periods in my life where I've been like, this is the greatest lunch I've ever had. I actually keep it like a chart of my favorite lunch ever, my favorite dinner ever, my favorite snack ever, in different places I've had them. Do you know the absolute fastest you've ever been? Like the one track and the number that you hit?
Yeah, I remember it was, gosh, I think it was 2014 or 15. We were qualifying in Michigan, and we were qualifying at 220 miles an hour into the corners. We averaged 200 mile an hour, over 200 in the whole lap, just the average lap time. So that felt fast. You kind of get used to the speed, to be honest with you. And it's just when something goes wrong, that's when you feel like you're going really fast because it doesn't stop real quick.
This is going to be a really dumb question for somebody who's really never been in a race car. Is there a speedometer in there?
No, no, we're legally not allowed to have one.
Uh, why?
It might be a better thing that we don't have one.
Yeah, I think I would just want to know. Then have you done it so many times that you can pretty much just like raw dog and know how fast you're going?
I mean, roughly. I mean, what ends up happening is we set our dashes. So we have a tachometer, that reads the RPMs of the motor. We know what gear ratios are in the car. So when we hit a certain speed, we know it, right? When the engine's at a certain RPM and you're in fifth gear, you have an idea that you're going, whatever it is that weekend. So you kind of go off of the tach all the time.
Okay, another really dumb guy question for somebody who just watches on TV. Do you have snacks in the car? If for some reason you need a snack real quick?
I wish. I take some water with me because it's hot in there. But I typically don't have a snack. I mean, they're fairly long races. They're 3.5 hour races, but there's not really much time. And you got your helmet. And think about it. You got all this stuff right in front of your face. And you can't really get a granola bar in there or anything like that. So I don't. I think some drivers take stuff. I don't.
It makes sense. But again, I do this for 5 hours, or I'll be even on stage if I'm doing comedy. But I like my blood sugar feels a little low. I'll eat an almond or two. But you're saying you have so if let's say you have to pull in and you're in the pit, will you be like, throw me some almonds? Can you do that? Have you ever done that if you're like a little low?
I've never done it.
Okay.
I've never done it. You're typically so like your adrenaline's pushing you. You don't even realize how tired you are sometimes until you get out of the car, and that's when it hits you like, oh my gosh, right? But most of the time in the car, your adrenaline is just like it's kind of like that runner's high that you get at times, right? You keep trucking along. Your heart rate's 140 or so throughout the whole race on average. Sometimes higher, sometimes it gets a little bit more comfortable depending on the track. But you kind of get in that mode where you just keep clicking laps off.
I want to talk about teammates for a second because on the Penske team, Ryan Blaney's on your team. We had Ryan, and we had a great time with Ryan. But is there a benefit to having a good teammate? And is there within the team like, hey, we really need to get Joey to this place, or really need to get Ryan to this place? Are you helping each other to the point where it's obvious?
Yes and yes and yes. Yes to some of the answers. It is teammates in motorsports is probably the most challenging relationships you can have, because on one hand, you need to work together to be successful, right? If we just compete against each other and say, gosh, all I got to do is beat my teammate, well, you may beat him, but you're going to finish 20th. And is that really doing anything? Like, you have to have the attitude that you'd rather finish second to your teammate than beat him and finish 20th. And that's sometimes hard to do, depending on what's going on. But I'd say, Ryan Blaney's, also Austin Cindric, as well as my other teammate, both of them are very good. They're young, they're fast, they got like so much speed. The good thing about that is they push me, right? They push me out of my comfort zone. We all kind of bring different things to the table, which is nice. I've been doing this for 16 years, so I could bring some experience to the table. They bring speed to the table. I think together we end up making everybody better. And I think that's what you ultimately want in a teammate, is someone that's going to, push you and make the whole organization better, right? All of Team Penske. I think we got that with our teammates right now.
Do teammates ever fight, like fist fight? I don't know that I've ever seen teammates fist fight. And would your team be like, boys, you do that in like an actual team? Because I've been on, even playing high school sports, or I have friends that play pro sports. They fight with each other, but they do it behind closed doors. Are there teammates that ever like come to blows on the track?
It depends on the team. I don't see Team Penske handling really anything that way between each other. But I also know that, listen, there's going to be differences of opinions, right? Like, it's like growing up with your brother, like he's going to tick you off every now and again. And the best thing you can do is talk about it, right? You can't, just like any other relationship, you can't brush it under the rug and expect it to get better. It's just going to keep getting worse. So you just got to have an open relationship. You got to be able to talk about everything that's going on together. And if I tell them all the time, if I made you mad, tell me. I probably have a reason for it. And vice versa, so I'll tell you if I'm upset, I promise you that. So I think that's what the best teammates do. But yeah, I mean, there's different expectations with your teammate, right? If it's not your teammate and they're racing the crap out of you, well, you don't get that upset. But if it's your teammate, you're like, hey, bud, like, aren't we kind of on the same side here? There's different rules of engagement that are spoken about before the races sometimes.
Forgive my ignorance on this question. Could you design a racetrack? Because golfers, they get big and famous. This is a Tiger Woods track. I mean, I feel like you've won enough now. They should be asking you to design a racetrack. Can you design a racetrack? Is that a thing?
I've never been asked. But I mean, I guess I could help design a track. I think a couple of drivers have before. I know Rusty Wallace did a lot with Iowa Speedway, and some road racers did some stuff with road courses. But really, I think what the difference is building a racetrack is, I would assume, a lot more expensive than a golf course. Just because, you think of all the site work that has to be done, all the buildings, all the grandstands, the suites, all that, like, just build new racetracks all the time. Like, that's really expensive. So we end up going back to the same tracks very often. And there's racetracks all across the world, right? And a lot of them we haven't seen, right? We're going to Mexico City next year. So there's a racetrack that's been there for a long time, but none of us have ever seen it. So I don't know if we need to be, spending a ton of money on building new racetracks and designing them, but just going to a lot of great ones that are there and bringing our races to the fans that are there.
I know your bodies go through a lot over the course of a race. Now, again, this is such a dumb guy question, but let's say you hurt your ankle. Let's say you step off a stair, or like you hurt your Achilles tendon, and it actually hurts to push the pedal. Could they switch it to, you could do it with the other? I don't know. How would they do that if your foot hurts so bad? And has that ever kept you out of a race?
Man, you got some interesting questions today. I knock on wood, knock on something. I've never had something that kept me out of the race car.
Like a foot.
I even think growing up, I broke my arm a couple times, but yeah, No, I mean, some guys have driven with some banged up situations, and it doesn't look comfortable.
Yeah.
But I've never seen anyone drive with the other foot to overcome that.
Yeah. I mean, I
I
heard
don't know why you couldn't though.
or could you? Are there rules against putting some of the stuff on the hands? Because you see those old person Cadillacs and they're like flipping gears with their fingers.
Right, right. I
Exactly.
have no idea. I can't
Exactly.
answer it.
I see. I'm bringing all the questions.
Sure.
These are legitimate things I've always wanted to ask somebody who's like the greatest. Okay. I saw you with SHAQ recently, DJing at the club. What happened? How did that happen?
Well, so they had which I didn't know. DJ Diesel is what they call him. He was at the after party for a championship party, and he's huge, by the way. He's as big as I thought he would be. He's freaking tall, as huge, um, super nice. I didn't know he's a DJ.
Hey, wait to hear about Paris Hilton. That one's next. Yeah, she's same.
Oh no.
Oh
no.
Okay, so I got two final questions here. And by the way, these are legitimate questions I've been holding on to ask you because, again, to me, like, you're that guy. So it's been super cool to ask you these dumb guy questions that I've had. So you've won 3 Cup Series championships. In your mind, like, what is it like a Tom Brady thing? Do you want to win more than anybody ever? Do you want to have so many that people can't catch you, right? Like, Brady's got 7. It's going to be hardly people, unless it's Mahomes, nobody's going to catch Brady. Your thoughts on, like, what's the ceiling with you? What's the goal?
To be honest with you, I don't set long-term goals. I set this year's goal. And I mean, this is a simple way of thinking about life, but what is the goal this year is how I look at it. And the goal every year is the same. It's to go win the championship. And there's if that takes 6 wins to do it, if it takes 2 wins to do it, whatever it is, doesn't matter. If I'm looking, I don't ever look far enough ahead and say, gosh, I want to have 7 championships like Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt and Jimmy Johnson. Like, yeah, that would be great. Like 8 would be even better, sure. But I got to get 4 first, before I even look that far. So maybe that it's just a simple way of thinking about it, but it's just the way I do it.
Final 2 questions. I'm going to do the serious one because I saw that your foundation gave $250,000 to hurricane relief. To you, I've noticed a priority in you giving back and finding reasons to give back. Like, why is that important to you?
Well, I said this in my speech, and there's a lot of truth behind this. You think about sports in general, they're pretty pointless, right? You're either putting a ball in a basket, you're carrying a football across the field, and for us, we're driving in circles to end up in the same place after 500 miles. When you think about all that, it's pretty goofy and dumb. But if you think about the platform that God's given us to impact others, it becomes very impactful, right? Like, it's a very, very big thing. And so that's the why. So for us, the Joey Logano Foundation is the why. We care a lot about foster kids. We do a lot with foster families. You brought up the Hurricane Helene. We're here in North Carolina. Obviously, it's about an hour from here in the mountains where there's a lot of families that got impacted more than the news tells you. It's bad. And so we've been able to make some trips up there and visit some families, get a little bit better idea of what's going on. I mean, people's houses got washed away. Their cars got washed away. Their families got washed away. It's so sad. So, there's a few foster care communities up there that we've worked with in the past that were impacted in a very large way. A lot of people don't have flood insurance up there either. So we've been doing a lot of things with giving cars away. We've already given a car away. We got 4 more cars that we're getting ready to give away here in a couple weeks before Christmas. We've got some money going towards rebuilding these foster care communities that got washed out. So there's been some great help from our race fans, from our partners. It's not just me doing it, but the fact that we all come together and try to impact an area that just people that need help. That's really the why.
my final question, and again, this is a bit trivial, but it's something that I was given grief for. I was doing a TV show on Nat Geo, and I had an earpiece, and mostly for safety reasons, because I'd be up on like these harnesses, or and so I had an earpiece, and my director would talk to me, but I demanded on a Saturday. I say demanded. I'm not a demanding guy, but I did say on Saturdays in my contract that I needed to have the updates for the Arkansas football games fed through my ear. So as I'm doing this, I had them tell me the scores of the games as it was happening if we happened to be recording while doing the show. So I asked this from a place of I was shamed for having that put in. If you're ever in a race and you're wondering what the score is of a game, do you ever ask for them to update you on scores of something else while you're doing your thing?
I tell you what, man, I don't have the capacity for it. I have a hard time to have the capacity to watch sports these days. Like I love watching sports, but I got 3 kids. And my oldest one's 6. So it's like Paw Patrol on rewind right now. And we're moving into the Christmas movies like on The Grinch and Christmas Chronicles. So honestly, I don't ever get the TV remote. And if anyone has kids and listening to this, at about 9 o'clock, it's game over. I'm done. I'm going to sleep. So I wish I could watch sports because I love it. But gosh, I'm a couple of years away from it right now.
Yeah, so okay, I still feel shame. I still feel shame, and thanks, Joey, for allowing me to keep holding on to that shame in my heart for that. Hey, Joey, we're rooting for you, dude. We root for you. Congratulations again. It's so cool to like you're nice. And we've had some people in. It doesn't matter. They aren't that nice. You're awesome. You're awesome to us. We appreciate the time. You're so generous with spending time with us. Not all you guys are awesome. In general with the world, but you were one of them. So congratulations.
Well. Gee, thanks. I appreciate the compliments and love the show. Glad to be on it.
Thanks, Joey. Hopefully we'll see you soon, man.
Invite me on more times than win.
Dude, you come on whenever you want. You literally.
You guys invite me is when
no, you can come on anytime. You can come when you lose, because I have all these questions. Joey, we love you, buddy. Right. Have a good day.